Good afternoon. It's been a while since we actually talked to each other, but we're going to start now the fourth quarter, right? Monday, April 20th. So this is the first lesson of the fourth quarter. Last unit we solved quadratic equations, and now we're going to graph quadratic equations. So the first thing we're going to do is graph quadratic equations when the value of a is greater than 0. Okay, that means when the first term, this one, is positive. That's what I mean. Greater than 0 means positive. And I'm just gonna start doing it like that, blank, just to see if it works better, because I'm trying to save myself some time. That's why before I was just like writing on it, so I can, move on quick. But I guess I'll do whatever is better for you guys to understand. All right, so I have a quadratic equation here that is y equals x squared minus 6x plus 8. Remember, this is A, that's B, and that's C. Okay, what is important for you guys to know that? You'll figure out, in the second problem. Okay, now, they're asking me to use the table right here. Listen, when they give you an interval, okay, these are the x values. That means that we're going to graph this quadratic equation, which is a parabola, okay, from 0 to 6. So let's say if you don't have a graphing calculator, you can still graph this just with a basic regular calculator. So remember, guys, also in the reference sheet that I attached, right, when the value of a is greater than 0, that means if it's positive, you're going to have a happy face. So your parabola should open upward, okay? So that means happy face. So again, we're going to go from 0 to 6, okay? And remember, they both included because the equal sign is below the inequality symbol. So I already did that for you guys. I already put here the values of x, okay, from 0 to 6. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what we have to do now is find the values of y, so we can graph the order pair. So we're going to substitute all this for 0, and if I put on the calculator, I'm going to get 8. Here I'm going to put 1, 1, and if I put on the calculator, I will get 3. If I keep doing that, all right, substituting all the values of x for these values right here, I can find the value of y that pairs up with each value of x. So that will be 0. If I put here 3 and 3, that will become -1. That means the y value. So when x is 4, the value of y is 0. When x is 5, remember guys, whatever you see in x, you're going to substitute that. So the value of y is 3. And if I substitute x for 6, the value of y is 8. So if you notice, guys, when you get down to -1, the numbers on the y-axis start to repeat. So that means that this right here, this order pair right here, that's called the vertex. You're going to see all this vocabulary on the review sheet, the reference sheet. So take your time and take a look, all right, at all the definitions there. What vertex means, what axis of symmetry means, interval of increasing, decreasing, all those things are on your reference sheet, okay? So now that I have all my order pairs, I'm going to start graphing, okay? So remember, guys, this right here, when you start seeing that the numbers repeat, okay, that's going to be a vertex. That's the point of return. The parabola, see, is coming down, 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 then it hits this bottom, which is going to be a minimum, and it bounces back again. So it's the same thing as saying it's coming from negative infinity, it hit the minimum, and it bounced back again to positive infinity. So remember, it's very important for you to remember all those definitions. So let's graph now before we start answering the question. That's x and that's y, okay? Remember that is your y-axis and your x-axis. So what I'm going to do now is graph these points. When x is 0, it's right here. All right, well, let me just put some numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you going to do 1, 2, 3, 4? 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5 here. Okay, so I can have an idea. You know, the scale goes by 1. So when x is 0, y is 8. So I'm stay right here on the 0, and I'm gonna go up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's my first point. Then when x is 1, okay, y is 3. So x is 1 right here, so I go up 3. 1, 2, 3, right here. Now, when x is 2, which is right here, y is 0. That means I will stay right on the line. Okay, I will move. Now, when x is 3, which is right here, y is negative 1. If you notice here, that's my minimum. That's going to be my vertex. Because after that, everything will start repeating, all right? So when x is 4, right, that means that y is 0. That's an image of that point, like a mirror. So when x is 5, which is going to be here, it's going to be, y is going to be 3, which is right here. If you know, that's the image of the other point right there. And when x is 6, all right, if I go up, y is 8. So if you notice, this is a reflection of the other points. So this one is the image of that, that's an image of that, that's an image of that, and this is your vertex or your turning point. It is also called a minimum, because look, now you have to create your parabola. Remember guys, don't do a line because you're going to create it like a V. Try to make it like a little curve, you know. So I'm going to do my parabola, all right, and I'm going to bounce back. Okay, so remember, that is my graph for that equation, for that quadratic equation. So there's a lot of things you have to remember, guys, okay? This is your vertex, okay? The vertex here is, you can get it from here, you can get it from the table. X is 3 and y is negative 1. If you notice, it's the other pair right here, okay? That's your vertex or your turning point. Now the axis of symmetry, which is the value of x. Remember guys, the axis of symmetry is an equation, okay? In the equation, it has to be reading like an equation. So the value of x here is 3, okay? So your axis of symmetry is positive 3. So just for you to know, okay? Axis of symmetry, I write AOS. So the axis of symmetry is an equation. You have to write x equals 3. If you don't write x equals 3, that will be considered wrong. If you only write 3, it's going to be wrong because I don't know if you're referring to x or if you're referring to y. So remember, axis of symmetry is an equation, okay? So if you notice, the axis of symmetry here is this number right here, okay? So this is axis of symmetry. Okay, so now you learn, you know, a few definitions, okay? Vertex is the turning point. In this case, this is a minimum. When we do set faces, we're going to do a maximum. That we're going to do that in 2 days. And we have the axis of symmetry. And remember, guys, these are the roots. Remember when we solve quadratics? See here, the roots are positive 2 and positive 4. If you have to factor that, you know, if you do double bubble, you know, you're going to end up having 2 and 4 as the roots, as the values of x. So now that we have graph, we're going to answer a few questions, okay? So they ask, let me open the page, all right? Because here, I'm just going to put it like that. They're asking us a few questions. So what is the axis of symmetry? Remember, the axis of symmetry, all right, is the value of x from the vertex, okay? It's not the order pair, it's just the value of x. And remember, because it's an equation, you're supposed to write x equals 3. That's your axis of symmetry from here. Now, what is the vertex, the turning point? The turning point is the order pair. You can get it from the table, you can get it from the graph. If you notice here from the graph, it's right there, okay? That will be your vertex. But also, I can get it from my table. So I know the vertex is 3, negative 1. There's two different things. Axis of symmetry is the value of x from the vertex, okay? So just x equals 3. And the turning point is negative 3 now. Is the vertex a maximum and minimum, okay? Remember, that's a minimum. It's a minimum because the parabola is coming down from negative infinity. It hits, okay, the axis of symmetry. Remember, it's always the interval is always from and to the axis of symmetry. So in this case, because the axis of symmetry is 3, all right, so that's going to be the decreasing point that's coming from negative infinity, okay, to positive 3. And it's always parentheses, okay, guys? Always parentheses, not brackets. So that means that the interval of increasing is the other way around, okay? That means that, look, if you notice it, start from 3 and it goes up. Because remember, you always start from the axis of symmetry. So the decreasing, it ends up at the axis of symmetry, and the increasing begins from the axis of symmetry. So here, in this case, will be 3 to positive infinity. That will be the increasing interval. So decreasing from negative infinity to 3, which is the axis of symmetry, and the increasing is from 3 to positive infinity. Now, what is the rate of change? When we talk about rate of change, we're talking about slope, okay? And we're looking for the interval. Remember, this is interval from the values of x. So you have to find the order pair from 0 and 1. So if you go to the table, when x is 0, okay, y is 8. So that will be the first point. And when x is 1, y is 3. Okay? So now you're going to use your formula. x1, y1, x2, y2, and you're going to find the slope. Okay? I know my x look like my y, but anyway. So m equals 3 minus 8, because remember y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is 0. So 3 minus 8 is negative 8. Negative 5. And 1 minus 0 is 1. So the rate of change here, or this slope, is negative 5. Okay? So basically, we're going to answer those questions, as we continue working with some problems. So that is the first problem. Remember, guys, first of all, you have to find the values of y, okay? That's what we did here. I give you the equation, and I give you the interval. Now, what happens if I don't give you the interval? So this is what's going to happen. If I don't give you the interval, okay, then you have to use the axis of symmetry. So that's what we're going to do in this second page. So turn around, and you notice here, okay, the instructions are different. And telling me graph the quadratic equation, okay, y equals x squared plus 6x plus 3 using the axis of symmetry and a calculator. Why? Because remember, I'm not giving you anymore the values of x. I'm not giving you the intervals, So when that's the case, the best thing for you to do is you can do it in the calculator, but I always recommend my students to find the axis of symmetry. Plus, I'm asking you to find the axis of symmetry. So remember, the axis of symmetry, this is the formula. X equals negative b over 2a. So remember, that's what I remind you, that it's very important to know what's a, what's b, and what's c, because you have to use here b and a. You don't use c, but you want to use b and a. So I'm going to plug in to find axis of symmetry, right? Because you have to do this when I don't give you the interval. So x equals negative from the formula. What is my value of b here? 6. 6 over 2. What is my value of y here? 8. So it's 1. So if I continue solving, okay, x equals negative 6, right? Because remember, negative times positive is negative, and 2 times 1 is 2. So that means that my axis of symmetry is negative 3. Why is this very important to do that, guys? Look, because it's a lot easier. So now, if you put here negative 3 right in the middle of the table, I'm being very detailing here, very specific. So in the middle, you're going to put here negative 3 because that's your axis of symmetry. That's where the parabola is going to be cut in half. So now we're going to pick 3 numbers less than 3 and 3 numbers greater than 3, so we can use our calculator. I know you're going to love this. So 3 numbers smaller than 3 will be negative 2, negative 1, and 0. Remember, guys, the farther away we go from 0, the less value a negative number has, okay? So now greater than, it will be, I'm sorry, my bad. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. -4, -5, -6. My bad, guys. -4 now. Greater than -3 is -2, -1, and 0. I'm sorry, okay? It was just a little mistake. Now, why is this important? Because now you have the table right here. You're going to look for the values of y, and you don't have to do what we did here before. Remember, in the original problem, the first one, because I give you the interval, we just plug in into the equation to find the values of y, but not here. What we're going to do here, we're going to put the equation in the calculator, and we're going to find the values of y. The good thing is that once you graph that, you're going to go to the window, and you're going to look for -6 up to 0, because you know this calculator will give you 7 numbers. That's the maximum they can give you on a table. I mean, you can move up or down to find the other numbers, but that makes the window exactly the one that you're going to be looking for. So the first thing you have to do is go to the calculator and go to y equals, right? Put the equation, then we're going to do second graph. And we're going to find the values of y when x is -6 up to 0. So everybody should have your calculators. Here's your calculator. So my first thing is go to y equals, okay? So I go to y equals, I don't know if you can see, hold on. Oh, let me put it on first, okay? Then put y equals, all right? And I'm gonna write my equation there, which is x, all right? Square, remember guys, okay, I'm gonna write it here because you don't see it, all right? The x is the button right to the green button, remember, not the multiplication sign. So x, I already did that, square, which is right here, or you can also use the up arrow button. So that, and number 2, or you can use the square. Remember, the calculator only has the square here. So if you have to do to the 3rd power, to the 4th power, you have to go to this button. But everything's going to be square because we're doing parabolas. So x squared, right? I did that. Now we go plus 6x. My plus is here, okay? Plus my 6 is here. And x again, which is next to the green button, right? And I think the other one is plus 9. Yes, plus 9. When I do that, okay, it's right here, look. So my equation right there, I just already enter. So what are my steps says? Go to second, the blue button right here. Remember the blue button, second graph. And look, and see the window that appears here doesn't start from 0. I'm gonna look for the window that starts on -6. Remember, from -6 to 0 on the x-axis. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna keep going up slowly until I hit -6. Okay, and it's right there. See, begins at -6 and at 0, begins at -6 and ends at 0. So I'm gonna put all these numbers, you know, because those are the values of y. Okay, so I see that here is gonna be, okay, let me just move it to the side. It's gonna be 9, 4. So I'm gonna write here 9, 4. Then it goes 1, 0, and after that, you see, will start to repeat, because that's going to be my vertex. Remember, if that's the axis of symmetry, the value of y when x is -3, that's going to be your vertex. And the numbers here start repeating. So that's like an image. So even before graphing, okay, I can just answer these questions right here because I have some information. First of all, the axis of symmetry I know is -3, all right? So what is the axis of symmetry? X equals -3. No, what is my vertex? The vertex is going to be -3, 0. Okay, so -3, 0. Remember, because it's a happy face, okay, all this, when the value of A is positive, it's going to be a happy face. So that has to be a minimum point, okay? So I can already answer this. It's going to be a minimum, all right? So now, remember, the decreasing and decreasing interval, it has to do with the axis of symmetry. So I can tell you, because remember, it's a happy face. Happy faces always come from -infinity. I'm sorry, oh, sorry. See what happened? I made it live videos, you know. So to where? To the axis of symmetry, which is -3. All right? So my increasing interval is going to be from the axis of symmetry, which is -3, until +infinity. All right? And we can find the slope, because we don't need the graph yet, but you can do it any way you want it, because you can answer the question from the table. Now remember, this is the x values, okay? So you have to find the values of y when x is negative 3, and when x is 0. So when x is negative 3, what is my value here? 0, okay? And when x is 0, okay, what's my value of y? 9. So I have my 2 points now, so I can find my slope. Remember, guys, x1, y1, x2, y2. So m equals 9 minus 0 by the 0 minus negative 3. Remember, don't forget the minus. And that will give you 9 divided by 3, because minus times minus is 8 plus. So here, the rate of change from the interval negative 3 to 0 is 3. So I answered all those questions without graphing, right? Because remember, you can use the table or you can use the graph. Now let's graph the parabola, right? So you should be an expert on this, remember, guys, because you all know how to graph, okay? So I'm going to do mine scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, because sometimes you gotta go by twos. You know, it depends what the numbers are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we do word problems, you know, the numbers are gonna be so big that you have to do scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So negative 5. That's more than enough. You know, that shows me that I'm going by 1. So let's begin. When x is negative 6, y is 9. Okay, that means 6 to the left and 9 up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is my first point, okay? Negative 6, 9. Now, when x is 5, positive 4. I'm sorry, negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 is right here, all right? When x is negative 4, which is right here, that's going to be positive 1, which is right here. And when x is negative 3, 0. And if you notice, guys, listen, when you get to the vertex, you not even have to keep looking at these numbers, okay? You can just find the image, okay? Just remember the parabolas, they opens up, they don't close. You cannot have 2 points in the same line. So what I will do is, I will move to the right ones, and I will gonna match the other point, you know, in the same line. Open up once, match the point right there, okay? Open up again, and it's right here. So there's my 7 point, the 7 point that I got from the calculator. I'm gonna draw my, okay, parabola. Remember, don't do lines and don't forget the arrows. It's very important because that means that goes into infinity, all right? And that will be the graph of that. Just for you to know, this is your axis of symmetry, right? Axis of symmetry, what happened? What did the axis of symmetry does? The axis of symmetry cut the parabola in half. So if I fold that parabola in over that line, this point gonna be over that one, that's gonna be over that one, that's gonna be over that one, and that's what axis of symmetry does, okay? So we have done 2 problems. So let's do one more, okay? Just to practice. And I hope you know I'm making this easier than before, all right? So let's do number 3. Number 3, same thing, okay? Remember, when we don't give you, all right, the values of x or the intervals, it will be a lot easier if you find the axis of symmetry. Remember, the axis of symmetry is, it helps you in a grand scale, because when you put that in the middle, remember the axis of symmetry cut the parabola in half, so that's going to be right on the center. So if you do that, you're going to be able to find the other numbers, and you can go right to the calculator and you look for those numbers for that window, and it will give you the perfect match, okay? So let's use my formula, axis of symmetry, right? Remember, that's A, that's B, and that's C. Although I don't use C, right? So the axis of symmetry, x equals negative, right, from the formula, okay? What is the value of B here? Is negative 6, so now I have to put it in parentheses. The one before was positive, so I don't have to. Over 2 times 1. So what happened? Negative times negative will give you positive 6, and if I divide that by 2, so the axis of symmetry is 3. So the answer is x equals 3. Don't write just 3, it's x equals 3. So what does my step says? Put the axis of symmetry in the middle. So that's my 3 right there. You know that's going to be the vertex. When I find the value of y, that's going to be my vertex. So 3 numbers smaller than 3. 2, 1, 0. 3 numbers bigger than 3. 4, 5, 6, right? All right, so what do I do now? I go to my calculator, right? What you did before, I'm gonna put that down equation and just find window right there. So I'm gonna go to y equals again, okay? I'm gonna delete the equation that is there. Remember guys, you know how to do this. I'm just gonna type the equation, okay? X squared, which is the button next to the green button, okay? Remember, the X is right here, this one, X. The square button is right here, okay? Here, all right? So I have my X squared. Oh, I'm sorry, I put negative. X squared is right here. Okay, square. Hold on. Okay, let me do it again. I know you know how to do it, right? X square, then I do minus, okay? Guys, the minus is this one right here, not this one, okay? Remember, this one right here makes the number negative. It's not the minus button, so be careful because if you put this, you're gonna get an error. So it's this one, minus. That only when the number is negative, like let's say if the first number would be negative 2, then it will use that, okay? When the leading coefficient. Otherwise, that's the minus is right here. Minus, okay, 6x plus 3. And if I go to my second graph, look, I just gonna look again, look, because I used different one before, different equations, so the calculator already have that interval right there recording. So remember, the good thing about the axis of symmetry is that you're gonna go from 0 to 6, right? So what I'm gonna do, go down the calculator until we get 0 on top and positive 6 on the bottom. And there's the window that I want, okay? You can see that the vertex is always in the middle and the numbers start repeating. After the vertex, the y values will start repeat. So let's put those numbers next to it, right? Which is 3. So if I know that's 3 up, it's gonna be 3 here too. Then it's negative 2, so it's negative 2 here. It's gonna be negative 2 here also. Then it's negative 5, okay? It's gonna be negative 5 here too, and negative 6, all right? So now let's graph those points, all right? So to graph those points, I'm gonna go to my x, y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5, all right? So let's graph those points. When x is 0, I don't move, I go up 3, 1, 2, 3. When x is 1, y is negative 2, so 2 down. When x is 2, negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. And this is my vertex. So after that, guys, just remember, open up once, match the point. Open up one, match the other point. Open up one and match the other point. And that should be your parabola. All right? Now look, the roots in this equation, you can tell they fraction because it doesn't go through the corner of the box, or it goes around the middle. So I already know that the axis of symmetry is 3. So what's going to be my vertex? So my vertex is going to be 3, comma, negative 6, right? Decreasing interval, remember, always when it's a happy phase, it's going to decreasing going to come from negative infinity, okay, to the vertex, which is positive 3. And the increasing is going to be from the vertex, which is 3, to positive infinity. And the same thing here, all right, with the interval. So we're looking for the rate of change, which is the slope. So when x is 1, y is negative 2, I got that from the table. And when x is 5, okay, it's negative 2 also. So I have my other pair, okay? When x is 1, y is negative 2. When x is 5, y is negative 2. So I'll do my formula. So negative 2 minus negative 2 over 5 minus 1. Look what's going to happen here. Because that turns into plus, so negative 2 plus 2 is going to give you 0. And 5 minus 1 is 4. So the slope here, or the rate of change, is 0. So that means it's a horizontal line. So I already did 3 examples. I think that should be more than enough for you. And this one is multiple choice. Listen, this one you have 2 options. You could just put that on the calculator, okay, and find the vertex, like in the, like the middle, the center one, or you can use the axis of symmetry to find the value of x. and that will give you an idea which one of this one's going to be. So let's use the axis of symmetry, right? So that will be minus, okay, the value of A here is, B is 8. If I divide 2, which is part of the formula, right, from the axis of symmetry, the one above, times 2, that will give me negative 8 divided by 4. So the axis of symmetry is negative 2. So it cannot be 1 and it cannot be 4, because according to this, my axis of symmetry is negative 2. So I have two options. So if you put that on the calculator, you can just substitute anyway that into the equation. But the best thing to do is just put the equation on the calculator and just find the value of x when y when x is negative 2. So I will put, I will write 2x squared plus 8x. I'm doing it on the side, guys, plus 9. So I'm going to go to see, I already put the equation. So I'm going to go second graph, and when the value of x is negative 2, all right, so I'm going to go up. Look, when it's negative 2, the value of y is positive 1, all right? And if you want to make sure, look, just keep going, and you're going to know that everything starts repeating. Look, so that will be the window. If you have to graph that, you will need all these points, right? But because I went to the calculator, I know that it's going to be then choice 3. Another way you can do it, guys, is this way, because we're going to do that later on. You can also substitute this negative 2 into the equation here, into the values of x, all right? So that x becomes negative 2 and the x becomes negative 2, and if you solve, it will give you positive 1. Okay, so you have two options. You can do it algebraically or on the calculator. And this one, obviously, looking for the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry, remember, guys, is the value of x that causes the parabola in hell. If you notice here, this parabola get his maximum point right here. That's what we're going to do in 2 days. The maximum point is right here. And if you notice, that will be the height. That will be the y value. But I'm looking for the x value because the axis of symmetry is always x, all right? So it's not going to be neither one of those because it's always the x value. And be careful, a lot of kids pick 23. Remember, that's the value of y. That will be the height. So here, the question answer is 2. Now listen, guys, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, this is the lesson for tomorrow, for Monday, all right? Monday the 20th. Now, I'm going to give you 2 days for each lesson. So I won't do the next lesson until, I guess, for Wednesday. So you have, the homework should be turned in on Tuesday, okay? So this homework is done Tuesday. Or actually, if you take the lesson on Monday, you can actually turn it in on Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. So you have 2 days for the lesson and you have 2 days for the homework. So the next lesson is going to be for Wednesday, and you can hand in that homework on Friday. So what I'm trying to do is 2 days for the lesson and 2 days for the homework. All right. So use the reference sheet also that I'm going to attach. And okay, best of luck. Have a good day.